Hi everyone, my name's Danielle, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to construct a well. What do you think of when you hear the word well? How you did on your last math test? A deep cobblestone well you need to watch out for so you don't fall into? Or maybe a wishing well that can grant you all that you desire? Well, wells come in many shapes and forms. There are monitoring wells that help us understand how much groundwater we have and how clean the groundwater is. Some of you might even have a well in your backyard that provides you with drinking water. Wells can either be drilled or dug, and they can either be shallow or deep. Municipal wells are the wells many of our towns and cities, like Guelph and Waterloo, rely on for water. There are even oil wells. Although, since this is the Children's Groundwater Festival and not Oil Festival, we will be focusing on the groundwater wells. So, how do we construct a well? A simple drilled monitoring well has three main parts. A screen, which is basically a perforated pipe, so a pipe with tiny holes to let water flow into the well and keep all the big pieces of sand or rock out of it, like a filter, and a riser or casing of solid pipe going up to the surface. The riser or casing supports the sides of the wells and keeps dirt from filling in the hole. The part of the well above the ground is called the stick up. Wells come in different sizes in both how deep they go into the ground and how big around the pipes are, and they can be made of different materials such as steel, plastic, or concrete. But we also need to think about the types of materials in the ground and around the well. Remember how you learned that some soils, such as sand, allow for groundwater to flow more easily than soils such as clay, which are more impermeable? Well, to keep the hole from filling in and allow the groundwater to flow into the well, the area around the bottom of the well is surrounded with sand. We also want to make sure that there isn't a gap between the well pipe and the drilled hole that can allow anything from the surface to get into the aquifer. To make sure that the groundwater in the aquifer stays nice and clean, a seal or plug is used to stop water from flowing directly down the sides of the well. Now, many of you might be saying, Danielle, how do we know how deep the well should go? Well, first, we need to figure out what the types of soil are in the area. We can do that by drilling and examining the soil, and I'm going to show you a video of that next. We can also look at maps and do a little bit of background research. Most of the wells in Ontario are mapped, and their records are available to anyone who is interested. Each of these little blue dots is a well in the Guelph area, for example. Each dot includes information about well depth, types of soil, and groundwater level. Now for the fun part. Here we're seeing a drill rig in action, lifting a 20-inch casing segment for the installation of a municipal production well. The photo on the left shows an actual well drilling truck and how big they really are. How high do you think that goes up in the air? Take a guess. Now, do you remember when we talked about how are we supposed to know how deep the well should go? And in order to figure that out, we needed to do some drilling and look at the soil in the area. Well, that's what these are. These are called core samples, and core samples reveal the physical and chemical nature of the rock, and they're basically just big tubes of rock. So another question you might have is, well, how do I decide where to install my well? We install water supply wells in aquifers. They do best in the ground layer that is typically made of sand and gravel, the area where water flows easily through it. And you can see on the diagram here, the two big blue areas are the aquifer. Sometimes, though, wells are installed in bedrock, such as limestone or shale, where there are many fractures through which groundwater flows. Now, once the well is installed, a pump is inserted to help pull the water up. And as you can see by this diagram, there are so many different wells and options of how and where to install them. It all depends on what the purpose of the well is. What will it be used for? And what are the soil conditions in which they are installed? Well, that's it for me. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Enjoy the rest of the festival.